welcome back to the Book Connection. I'm Catalina as always, and today we're going to be doing my October book haul and wrap-up. It is a little late, considering I'm going to post this in November, but we're going to ignore that fact and move on. Usually I would make these two separate videos, but I didn't think I had enough to say about my wrap-up, because I only read 4 books this month, and I already did a review on one of the books that I read this month. So I'm not going to go too deep into them, especially considering the other 3 I read were classics. And I don't feel like they really need an in-depth review and conversation about them. So we're going to start with that. We're going to start with the wrap-up. And like I said, I already did a review on one of them, and that was Beauty and the Blade by S.C. Grayson. That is up on my channel, so if you want to see that review, feel free to go hop on over to that video. But I'm going to move on from that one just because, again, I did a video on it already. The other ones I read, like I said, are classics. I read these for a couple reasons. One, it was October, it was a spooky month, and what better books to read than these ones? But I also did it as part of a podcast that my fiance does called The Golden Review, where he watches and reviews movies from the golden age of Hollywood. And these 3 are part of that, and so I kind of joined on as a special guest to tell you the difference between the books and the films. So those 3 were The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, and this is about a scientist who turns himself invisible, hence the name, and it slowly drives him crazy. So you can see that gradual progression in the novel. Obviously it's very short. It's not if you're wanting a quick kind of classic read, I would recommend this one. It's, I think, 207 pages. Yeah, it's 207 pages. You could finish this easily in a day. And it's a pretty good story. It definitely has that, spooky crazy that you would want from a Halloween book. And the next one we did was Frankenstein. This one is so special to me, as you can probably see. I love Frankenstein. This one is so dear to my heart. And it took me so long to read it. I was forced to read it in high school, senior year, and I honestly should have read it before then. But on that comment, I don't think I would have quite understood what the meaning of the story was if I had read it when I was younger. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't read it until the, I almost said 8th grade. That's not senior year. So I'm kind of glad that I waited to read it because it has so many messages in it that I think when you're younger you don't quite understand what they mean. So I definitely recommend reading this when you're a little bit older, just for that factor of it. It follows Victor Frankenstein as he embarks on this scientific journey to create life. But then once he does it, he kind of regrets it, and you kind of see the progression of his growth and his almost insanity. And as he realizes the mistake he's done, because he kind of acts as God, and to do that to a Christian especially, that's not something you do. And there are obviously a lot of consequences that come with that. So it just follows that journey of him creating this thing, this life, and then instantly regretting it. He sees the creature, as soon as he sees what he's done, he flees. He hates it. And then the monster's kind of left to die, but it doesn't die. Instead, it actually becomes very literate. One of the first books the monster read was Dante's Inferno, which is crazy because I haven't even read Dante's Inferno. So, kudos to the monster for that. So that's Frankenstein. I love it very much. Highly recommend reading it if you haven't. It is one of my favorite classics. In fact, it is my favorite classic, hands down. So the next one I read, Dracula by Bram Stoker, and this one follows Jonathan Harker as he goes on a real estate journey to Transylvania to secure a place in England for Dracula. And you kind of follow this as he learns that Dracula is not human, and he's stuck in this castle with Dracula's 3 monstrous brides, and he's waking up and he has bite marks and just a lot of weird things going on. And then, so he's actually left in Transylvania as Dracula goes to England. Harker does actually make it out, and then you kind of follow them as they journey to England, and then essentially go on a Dracula vampire hunt. This is like the father, I'll say, of vampire lore and like where we get all of our modern day interpretations, like Twilight. So it's really interesting to read it and see where it all came from. And what's really interesting about this one is it's not written like a normal book, for those of you that don't know. It's actually written through letters and newspaper articles and telegrams and notes like that. So it doesn't really read quite as easy, I would say, as like a normal novel. But if you like kind of like that classic and you like the gothic, like kind of spooky, definitely give this one a shot. So that leads us into my book haul. And usually I don't get this many books in 1 month. I would love to get this many books in 1 month, but usually I don't. I maybe 1 or 2. But I actually got 6. Well, technically 8, but one of them came as a box set, so we're counting that as 1. So I got 6 books for the month of October. And the only reason I got them was because I had an Amazon gift card. So I didn't pay a dime. So, that being said, let's get into it. The first one that I got was a box set of the Lord of the Rings trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I'm sure a lot of you know what the Lord of the Rings is about, but in case you don't, it follows a hobbit named Frodo Baggins as he inherits the One Ring created by Sauron. And he has to embark then on this journey to destroy the One Ring before Sauron can get it and come into power and essentially just destroy the world. So, we follow Frodo and the fellowship that is created in the first one, hence the name Fellowship of the Ring. And it's actually based on the Christian Bible, which is super cool to me because it shows you that you can read a book and it doesn't that's based on the Bible or a religion, and it doesn't have to be shoved in your face, because a lot of people don't even realize that the Lord of the Rings is biblical, and I think that's really cool. I have like 5 different copies of the Lord of the Rings, but look at these covers. Aren't they? They're just pretty, you know? Gotta like them. So there's that. And then the next one I got was These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This one follows Bree as she embarks on her own journey into the 2 courts of Fae, Unseelie and Seelie. Her sister is taken, which is the only reason why she's even dealing with the Fae. Usually she would have nothing to do with them. She hates them, and she would honestly rather die than make a deal with them. But when your sibling is taken, you go the extra lengths. So she's kind of torn between these 2 courts, and then in turn the princes that are dangerously seductive, as the blurb told me. So she's kind of caught between the 2 worlds and the 2 men. I'm not usually a fan of a love triangle. It's not something I'm super into. I don't really gravitate towards that trope, but this just sounded really good despite that. So I'm hoping that it's one of those that you kind of know who she's going to end up with, so you're not really worried about the other character. Pippin, you are annoying. I have named my cat Pippin after Lord of the Rings, so that should show you how much I like that. But besides the point, that's for this one. I'm very excited to read it. I obviously haven't yet, but I'm looking forward to it. So the next one is How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. And this one follows Cardan from the Folk of the Air series. The first one is The Cruel Prince, if you don't know it by the other name. And it just follows him from his youth and how he progresses and grows into the character that we know and we love in The Cruel Prince. So it's just a little short one. I look forward to reading that just because I think it'll be quick, and if you're in a reading slump, shorter books are better. So. And then the next one is also by Holly Black. It is The Stolen Heir. This one is in the same world. It's still in Elfheim, but it's a different story, so you don't have to read The Cruel Prince before reading this one. This one follows Surin, who was a child queen of the Court of Teeth, but she was banished to the human realm. And in the human realm, she is releasing mortals from their deals with Fae, which of course is going to cause a problem with the Fae. So she wants to return home, but she's exiled to the human world, so it's kind of just following her journey as she's getting back to the world of fairy and all the chaos that ensues with the fae. So this next one I obviously have read. It's Dracula, and I just explained that earlier in the video, so I'm not really going to go into depth about what Dracula's about. But I had to get this cover. Again, actually, I have so many copies of Dracula. I have like 5 or 6. And I had actually never read it up until the point where my fiance asked me if I wanted to be on the podcast, and I had to read it. And I'm a little ashamed to say it took me that long, but this cover is really cool. And the main reason I got this is because I had a matching cover for Frankenstein. Like, how could I not get the matching cover? I have to have the matching set. So that's the main reason I got this one. As you all know, I'm obviously a book collector. I have multiple copies of a lot of books. But how can you not when they come out with covers like these? That is my October book haul and wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed. If you do want to see any more of these books a little bit more in depth, have their own video, whatever, let me know in the comments. And as always, I will connect with you all in the next video. Bye!